Hey, if you're pregnant over 40, I have just the community for you. It's a private community away from Facebook where women just like you come together to meet and support one another during pregnancy. To sign up for the waitlist, go to over40fabulousandpregnant.com/waitlist and be the first to know when the membership is open. I can't wait to see you inside. Welcome to Over 40, Fabulous and Pregnant. I'm your host, Jamie Massey, and you're listening to episode 51. If you're looking for pregnancy stories of women over 40, you've come to the right place. And today on the show, we have Sabrina from Baltimore on to share her pregnancy story at 41. Sabrina is a lawyer and judge by day and is a fitness instructor for fun at night. This is her second pregnancy that we'll be talking with her about. For her second pregnancy, she wanted it to be completely different. She wanted the social events while she was pregnant and wanted her room full of friends and family after she gave birth. Now, her first one was in 2020. So she didn't get to have all that, and she likes to call it almost her redo of everything that she wanted it to be. She gained a lot of confidence by this one just being her second pregnancy. And there was a lot of more knowns that she was comfortable with, and she knew what to expect. She also talks about a lot of pregnancy stigmas and totally threw them out the window, which I love. And for me, not too much is going on here. We have our doctor's call this week to talk about the results of our testing. She just had surgery, so this will be interesting, but I'm so looking forward to getting this over because I'm ready for a transfer too. I've been working really hard mentally and physically. I have been so much more active and I'm feeling great. This past weekend was my niece's birthday in Florida. She turned 3. I flew there for about 24 hours so I could go to the party. It was at a trampoline park, and even me and my sister had a great time jumping too. And just to let you know, I am going on vacation at the end of this week. So I may not be posting a show next week. I mean, best case, it will be coming out late Monday. It will be my first Monday to miss an upload. So I'm really struggling with that. I haven't fully decided either way, but I'm trying to give myself grace to enjoy the vacation and not stress about finishing a podcast. And that means we won't have anything on Instagram either for a whole week. But we will be back to regular episodes the following Monday if that's the case. And I'm sure I'll say something on Instagram for sure just to update you what's going on either way. But either way, I will see you either next Monday or the following Monday with a great story again. Today, I am keeping it short and sweet. So with that, let's get into Sabrina's pregnancy story at 41. Sabrina, welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness, Jamie, thank you so much for having me.
And before we get started on your pregnancy at 41, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Sabrina. I was born and raised in Baltimore. lived here my whole life except the 4 years I spent in Nashville in graduate school. By day, I am a lawyer and a judge. And by night, I suppose I'm somebody's mama now, but I used to be a lot of other things. But I'm also a group fitness instructor and an avid traveler, football fan, fantasy football player, and I love to cook. Yeah,
And she is currently getting her hair done.
I am. I'm sitting here getting my hair braided while I'm recording this podcast. Shout out to Sade.
Okay, so take us back. You were 39 whenever you had your first son. And
Yes.
take us back how you got pregnant. Was it planned? How did you plan that out?
So my I got pregnant the first time actually in the very end of 2019. And
Okay.
it ended up being an ectopic pregnancy. And
Mm,
that actually is what made me, so we were kind of trying, kind of not for that one. And once the pregnancy ended, that's when I was like, oh, I do actually really want to have kids. Like before I was like kind of like, if I do, great, if I don't, great. So I got more serious about checking my ovulation. And then the pandemic happened. And 6 weeks into the pandemic in 2020 is when I found out I was pregnant for the second time with what ended up being my first kid, who's now 2.5.
mhm.
So after he was born, and I did a year of breastfeeding, and then so once I stopped breastfeeding and my period came back for a couple months, and I was like, you know what? It's I don't want to get too far removed from this so that I like throw away all of the baby equipment I have, not throw away, give away all the baby equipment I have, everything. And I told my better half that if we were going to do it, this was the time to do it. So again, I checked the ovulation and got pregnant again. And now I have a 2.5 year old and a 2.5 month old.
Question about your ectopic pregnancy. Did you have to lose your tube or
No, I didn't have to lose my tube. They caught it, I guess, early enough, or it was small enough. I had to get, which is actually considered abortion. And if
Mhm,
you look on some of my medical records, it's listed as terminating a pregnancy, a methotrexate shot. So
mhm.
it ended up being two shots. They go in your butt cheek, which is pretty fun to sit down on afterwards. It is not. And then eventually if there is anything in there, you kind of pass it. I don't think I had much tissue or not a tissue at that point, but like, like uterine lining and that kind of thing. It is technically a terminated pregnancy because it is a
Mhm.
pregnancy, even if it isn't viable because it's in your fallopian tube. But I didn't have to have surgery or anything like that. Not a lot of bleeding, some
Mhm.
pain in general, but it just the two shots.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing. The shot didn't work for me, but yeah, it's
Oh
just
no.
because yeah, they did the same thing. I got the shot, and in Texas, we have to go to the emergency room
That's
to,
where I had to go there in Maryland too. I went to the
yeah,
emergency room. Yep.
yeah, and it didn't work. And a week later, I was in surgery having my tube out because I had internal bleeding.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I'm glad the shot worked for you though. Let's go back before you found out you were pregnant. What made you take a pregnancy test?
I'd been trying to get pregnant. So I I have like equal amounts, or I had equal amounts of pregnancy tests and ovulation predictors in my medicine cabinet. So if I wasn't taking one, I was taking the other to
Mhm.
try to figure out when I was ovulating so that I could figure out how to to figure out when we should conceive the baby and then figure out when I was pregnant. And it was September of last year, and it was like my in-person fantasy football draft with a league of women that I've been playing. We actually played real football together and then play fantasy together. So there was that party, which is a huge party, where I'm an avid drinker, and that makes me sound crazy, but bear with me. So I there's that party where I knew I would be drinking, and then my law school 10-year reunion, which got postponed 2 years because of the pandemic. So my best friends from law school were in town for a weekend for my law school for our reunion, our 10-year reunion. And then the week after that, me and two of those friends were going to Portugal for a week for friends for one of them's 40th birthday. So I had a series of events where I knew alcohol would involve, and I made it through two of the three. So the fantasy football draft and the reunion. And then I took the pregnancy test between the reunion and Portugal. And that's when I found out. And I was like, I'm going to this place with all this wine and all these like uncured meats and soft cheeses. In hindsight, I wish I hadn't taken the test beforehand because ignorance is bliss, but I did. So I had less of all of those things, still some, but less of all of those things than I would have.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
were you on a schedule just taking the test to see?
I would say that probably July or August is when I've been fortunate to be able to conceive naturally every single time and for it not to take a long time.
Mm.
So I don't want to say it was like a one and done, but it probably was like two times within like
Wow.
4 days of each other. And then I was pregnant after you wait 2 weeks or however long until you're supposed to take a test. Yeah.
Wow. So you hadn't even missed your cycle yet?
It might have been like a day or two late. My cycle never came back super regularly after I stopped breastfeeding anyway. It came every month, but it was sometimes one day, sometimes 5 days. Yeah, so I didn't know how long it was going to be then. Yeah.
That's really impressive.
It is. My mom told me when I was younger years ago, she said we're really fertile. And I had never been on birth control, but I'd also never been in a serious relationship until my current partner. So I never really had any need to be on birth control. So I never had a chance to like kind of test my fertility. And I thought it was just something that moms say sometimes just because they're like, oh, we have childbearing hips or whatever, the stuff that boomers say. She was right. Like I am, and the older I get and the more friends I have that have kids and are trying to have kids and all of these things, the more I realize that is not necessarily super common. And it is a blessing to be able to say, okay, this month I'm going to get pregnant. And it also, given my advanced maternal age, if you will, it's also something that I want other people once they turn 35 to know that like your fertility doesn't just dive off a cliff, right?
Mhm.
There are people in their 20s who can have fertility issues just the same as in their 40s, just like there are people in their 20s that get pregnant easily, just like people in their 40s, like me.
And
Yeah.
how was your pregnancy?
Oh, honey. So this one was markedly different from the first one. And the main difference is that, and it's wild because at my first pregnancy, I was 39 and it said geriatric pregnancy in my record. And that's
Mm.
what you see all over the internet. And that's like, the joke, like, ha ha ha, I'm geriatric. That's rude. Over 40, it's literally said elderly multigravida.
No.
Yes, elderly multigravida. And multigravida just means you've been pregnant more than once. So like that's not a scary word, even though it's, long. But I saw elderly. I screenshotted it and did a story about it on my Instagram profile because it made me feel very angry inside of myself. Like,
Yeah.
why haven't we figured out better terms to like talk about something that's fairly common at this point? Like advanced maternal age is still not very nice, but at least it's descriptive more than like, and like not as rude because whatever. But yes, so there was that difference in my records. There's some people that like have like one sonogram picture of their babies with both pregnancies, but specifically the second one. I had I have so many sonograms. Every time I open the back page of like a book or a planner or look in a pocket of a purse that I haven't looked at in a while, I find like 5 pictures from because I was in the place getting sonograms and having them check on the baby like every other week. It was a lot. It was a lot of time to have to go back
Mm,
and forth
yeah.
to the hospital, but the hospital and the doctor, they're like next to each other and they're not far from me, but still like I know where the best lunch spot is in the hospital. I know like exactly where to park to get in as quickly as possible. I kid you not, when I went in to have the baby, the woman at the front, like the front desk of the hospital, she was like, "Good to see you again." I'm like, "I'm finally going to have him today." She's like, "All right." And then on the way out, she was like, "Let me see that baby." And I was like, "Here he is." Like, I was there so much that like I made friends with the receptionist in the hospital.
That's funny.
There's that. There's the elderly, the having to go all the time. And then I got gestational diabetes this pregnancy, but there's a lot of reasons behind it. I was a lot less healthy and in shape than I was with my first full-term pregnancy.
Mhm.
I'd spent my life teaching group fitness, and up until the pandemic, I was teaching like 9 classes a week of between like spin, Zumba, boot camp. Those are the three main ones I taught. So I was in really good shape. I was not skinny by any means because that's not how my body works, or it's not necessary. But I was, super healthy. So, but once I got pregnant and I got tired, I never went back. And so with the second pregnancy, I didn't have the 9 years. I mean, I still have it in my body, but I didn't have it the same way. So like I feel like a lot more stuff went wrong. Like, yeah, I had the gestational diabetes, so I had to adjust my diet. So the day that I found out I was pregnant, this time that I was 41, I was 235 pounds and I'm only 5'3", and that's a lot. But the day that I gave birth, no, I've since gone down to 215 pounds. So like I lost weight through my pregnancy. The day I gave birth, I weighed less than the day I found out I was pregnant. And I weigh even
Wow.
less now. So the gestational diabetes it's not a good thing, but it is a way to control your weight during pregnancy, which I guess it's supposed to, it's
Yeah.
supposed to. So there's that complication. And then I had to have, not I had to, but I decided to have a scheduled C-section with this one because I'd had an emergency C-section the first time.
Hmm.
So, and I'm Black, I am old, and I'm overweight, and I hadn't, and no, even if you have a vaginal birth after a C-section, it's still the same prize at the end. You don't get any extra points for giving birth vaginally after a C-section. So I was like, why am I going to complicate something that's already like somewhat complicated? I'm just going to going in there, let my friend doctor pull this baby out. I'm going to go to the movies the day before. I've seen all the Fast and the Furious movies in the theater. So this is probably the biggest complication is I've seen every Fast and the Furious movie in the theater, and it's my favorite movie franchise. And the movie came out, the date was the date of my scheduled C-section. So I was like, well, this is rude. I can't take a 1-week-old into a movie theater. So I saw the movie the day before. And because I could plan my C-section, I could plan the movie. So I got to do it all. My child even has the name of one of the characters in Fast and the Furious.
Oh, that's fun.
It's
That's a lot
Roman.
of fun. I love it. Did you have morning sickness or anything like that?
Nope. I've never thrown up. I've never had morning sickness. My first trimester, I was exhausted, like fatigue in a way that like I wanted to go to bed at 5 p.m. every night. And when I woke up, I was thinking about when the next time I could take a nap or go to bed
Mm-hmm.
was like so tired. And then second trimester, magically I got energy back and could like do things. That's the only trimester I ever like sort of worked out. I
Mm-hmm.
like dusted off the Peloton for a little bit. And then third trimester, tired again, not nearly as tired as first trimester, but tired again and then just uncomfortable. Just no position that you sit or lay is comfortable, and you have to pee every couple hours at night. And that's when I'm like, these little boys got to get out of here. They have to go. They can no longer stay. Their time is up.
Now, going back to your doctor, how did you use the same one for the previous birth?
Yes. But so my original OBGYN is my mom's OBGYN, who is also my grandmother's, towards the end of my grandmother's life. So not like this, she's like a family, like a second or third cousin. So she's like a little bit older than my mom, I think. And she was my OBGYN for a while. And with my very first pregnancy, the ectopic one, that she was still my OBGYN. So I was going to her practice, but her practice merged with another practice. And so when my partner and I had to go in to get the news that we were having an ectopic pregnancy, the person that delivered it to me was not my cousin doctor. It was this random little old man who I'd never met before. He was as nice as he could be. But I decided right then and there that number one, I never wanted a stranger giving me news like that again. And I never wanted a man giving me news like that again. So it ended up that one of the doctors that treated me in the hospital with the methotrexate for the ectopic pregnancy, because I switched to a hospital downtown closer to me instead of out where my mom lives. One of the doctors who was there, I liked her so much that I was like, I'm now coming to your practice. So she did the methotrexate shot and then all the treatment, follow up after that. And then she was there with me through my first long-term pregnancy, full-term pregnancy, and then this one. And and she's my actual OB now. So I go to my annuals with her too. So
Mm-hmm. What was important to you when switching?
I wanted an all female practice. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, on the door of my hospital room when I gave birth, they wrote a sign that said men are not to enter or something like that. I wanted all female providers, like from the receptionists and the nurses to the doctors to the lab techs, everybody. And I'm not like super girly like that. I just know that this is something that men can't emphasize with at all, like in no shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
And even women who've never been pregnant, don't want to be pregnant, all that kind of stuff. Even women like that still have some sort of empathy to the body parts that I have and to the understanding of how they work and what they can and cannot do. So for me, it was important that all women practice. The only dude I wanted in there was my partner and my brother, if he had wanted to come, but he didn't really, I mean, he just came later. Like he didn't care about coming to the hospital. But the first time no one could come anyway because of the pandemic. But
Mm-hmm.
that was important. And then proximity. So like as many times as I had to go to the doctor in the hospital, if it had been that far away, like my old OBGYN was, I would have spent so much time in my car on the road when I should have been at work. So
Mm-hmm.
I needed to be able to like get in and out quickly and not have to, I could walk. I walk to the doctor sometimes.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I can't anymore. Actually, I can from my new office. I can walk to my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I park kind of like halfway between them.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
who was your support group through
Oh,
pregnancy?
how many hours do you have? It starts with my boyfriend, Zev, and my mother. And it goes to all of my different girl friends, the ones I talk to every day, who I consider like my best friends. Some who've had kids, some who haven't. It goes to like girls women I went to high school with and graduate school and undergrad with, who I may not talk to every day, but like we have these intense conversations on Instagram about momming and parenting, those kind of things. It goes to like people who are pregnant. I've been lucky both times to have pretty close friends pregnant at the same time as me, due within like a week or two with me. So like I got to go through it with friends both times. And that's like literally go through it with friends both times. And that's been an absolute joy. Like one of my friends, we ran into each other in our OBGYN's office, her coming out of the bathroom, me going in. And that's how we each found out the other one was pregnant. And our children were due within a day of each other,
Wow.
but they ended up about 4 weeks apart. But yeah.
How
So
fun.
it was so much fun. So much fun. Accounts like yours, podcasts like yours, those kind of things where you can find like niche communities. Like I was in a Facebook group, a due date group called 35 plus mamas due in January 2021. Like that's as specific as you can get. And then I made another one for May 2023, but I found a lot of support there because those people are literally going through exactly what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And was there any products that you couldn't live without that helped you during pregnancy?
Well, the first one is that ovulation predictor. That's one. When I was thinking about how to answer this question, that was the one that stuck out the most because there's so many different ovulation predictor kits. And despite my not understanding the exact science of how the NIPT works, I do have a science background. So like for me, it's data collection. So the one that I got is the digital one. So instead of you having to like judge the colors on the strip, it literally gives you a flashing smiley face, which basically means go have sex, like go do it now,
Mm-hmm.
because this is the time you can make a baby. And that I use that with both of my pregnancies, and was really helpful. So like, don't try to guess with a strip what color, how dark the strip is or whatever. Get the one that tells you, like, same with pregnancy tests. Get the one that says either pregnant or not pregnant. Don't leave it up to your eyes, because line eyes or lying eyes. Yeah. You
Uh-huh.
will convince yourself of whatever you want to convince yourself of. But if it's a word or, an actual digital readout, it's easier. And then giant water bottles, like, and cups. I'm now addicted. I have like 50 million of these in all different shapes, sizes, and colors. I don't have a Stanley honestly, because I couldn't find one, not because I wouldn't have purchased it. But I have Simple Modern, which is very similar. And they help with water throughout your pregnancy. And for me, I'm breastfeeding now. So like I should be drinking a crap ton of water. And then everything else is like, it's all regular stuff. Like there's no specific lotion you should use, but make sure you're moisturized. There's no specific exercise product. Everything else is just whatever is your creature comforts. Like do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Like get giant cups of water and leave them all over your house, and make sure they're cute, because then you'll drink from them.
Definitely. Did you find out the gender during pregnancy?
Yeah, the fun thing about being old is that you get a lot of tests done and you have a lot of pictures, but also that they genetically test you. So like I got the NIPT, the non-invasive prenatal test where they look for chromosomal abnormalities.
Hmm.
So instead of doing an amniocentesis where they stick a needle into your belly, they just take some of your blood because there's always some of the baby's DNA mixed in with yours. Don't get me to talking about science in a way that I don't understand it, but it makes sense to me because I'm growing him. So when they give you the form, it says like, for me, it said like, no Down syndrome, no trisomy. I think it's 13, 18, 15. I forget the three, but none of the three. But it also has like the big, like giant symbol on there. And then underneath it, like in bold, it said male. So I actually didn't want to find I wanted to find out both times, and you find out at like week 12 or something inordinately early because of, this testing that they do for older moms. I wanted to, the first time we did it, we just were sitting at the computer and I was like, all right, I'm going to click and open this email. And Zev is like, all right, let's open this email. And we said, oh, we're having a boy. The second time I was like, all right, I'm going to let my brother open it and let him play. I told him he had to plan something. But the problem is, I was too busy trying to make sure that the baby didn't have any chromosomal abnormalities. That like I didn't wait when the record comes in, I get it the same time as my doctor in my chart. So I didn't let my doctor read it first and write me a note because they knew I didn't want to find out.
Hmm.
I like read it, and so then if my mom is listening to this, me and Zev and Matthew and Ty, we faked it. We knew it was a boy, but we had the party anyway. So my surprise face was not that the powder inside of the football was blue. It was that there was powder inside of the football and exploded all over me. I already knew I was having another boy.
That's funny. So
Yeah.
what did you think when you saw that you were having another boy?
Part of me was like, okay, great. I don't have to buy any new things. Like I just had a boy. I have all the clothes. And then I was like excited because one of my friends from college will tell you that apparently I said I wanted to have a whole house of football teams worth of boys, that's what I wanted to have. I don't remember saying this, but Jamie swears I said it. So, and then I had a little bit of disappointment because I am in a sorority and I wanted my daughter to be in the same sorority as me if I'd had one. And my mom and I are sorority sisters. So I'd wanted her to do that also. And I went to all girls school. So I wanted her to go, like, if I'd had a daughter, to go to my school. So I missed out on having a mini me, but I also will never have a teenage daughter in my house
Hmm.
with me. So that I feel is a blessing. Boy moms, I'm wearing a t-shirt right now that says boy mom. Like so far, I mean, I'm only 2.5 years into this game, but boys love their moms. There's a video of this Miami Dolphins player, Jerome Baker, and he's mic'd up on the sideline, and he spends the clips that they put together from miking him up are 75% him saying, bro, where is my mama? I bet my mama's loving this game. Where is my mom? I can't find my mama. And then the very end of the video, he goes, I found my mama. And like, he's like, there's this grown man in the prime of his life, like, doing the thing he loves as a career. He's like really good at it. And all he wants to make sure is that his mother is watching him. And I'm like, that's what I need.
I love it. And how did you prepare for birth and the baby?
Prepare for the baby. The first time went all overboard with like not painting his room, but putting up a mural and like doing all this stuff. This second one, I'm sorry for anyone out here who is a second child, because I'm not. I'm an oldest child, but my guess is your parents were similar to me and my partner. Like, we didn't really do much of anything for him, poor thing. And Roman, if you're listening to this years later, I still love you, son. He sleeps in our room. His clothes are in the guest room, and we change him on the changing table in his brother's room. Like, he doesn't have like a home. He's like roaming. Like he's no actual docking station, poor thing. But what I did was make sure that like I had the 0 to 3 month clothes and the newborn clothes back from the friend that we lent them to. I made sure he had a place to sleep. So I pulled the old bassinet out, and I made sure that I had a job, because I actually switched jobs mid-pregnancy, which I don't advocate doing. That's a bad idea, but I had to do it. And then talked a little bit about like who was going to watch him once I went back to work and all that kind of stuff. But this time I didn't spend a lot of time in the preparation. because I was too busy taking care of a 2.5-year-old and looking for a job. And so that's kind of hard. But
Do you think that you got less stuff this time because of your age or because he was a number two?
because he was a number two, I don't think that anyone cares how old I am. And I'm not the only person my age around me having kids. So yeah. So I think that it was because it was a second one, and I asked for less. Like my registry the first time had 209 items on it, and they all got purchased. My registry this time had 50 something, and I think like 38 of them got purchased, which is fine because at some point I was just putting stuff on there so that people would have something to choose from in case they wanted to buy something. But we really didn't need a whole lot. We got a double stroller, which I can't use yet because the baby can't hold his head up yet. And we got a mattress for his crib. I didn't buy him a good crib. I like went to someone was giving away a mini crib in one of my parent groups on Facebook. And I was like, I'll take it. So I got a free mini crib and I just bought him a new mattress for it. Or I put a new mattress on the registry. We got his brother's old car seat back. So we have that back, and yeah, just using the same things.
Yeah.
He's got some monogram stuff with his own name on it, but mostly it's the stuff from Atlas is still new. So, and with babies, especially with Atlas, we got so much stuff that we weren't able to use a lot of it. So there's still stuff new with tags that I didn't use for my first one that I got to use for my second one. Yeah.
That's nice. And what about classes? You probably didn't feel the need to take any.
No. So the first time we took my first baby is a pandemic baby. So we took the classes, but they were all online. So like I didn't get to, and I'm an extrovert. I love to talk to people. I love to hear people's stories. So I would have loved going to class and making new parent friends, but there's no time to socialize over cookies or whatever on the internet. So I didn't do that, but I am now. There's a new parent support group that meets every Monday, and I go to that, even though I don't necessarily need the same help with breastfeeding that some other people do. But I introduced myself the first day and told everyone I was here to make friends because I didn't get to do this with my first one. So if you have any questions or if you want to hang out, let me know. Yeah, but we took a birthing class and a breastfeeding class, and a newborn care class the first time. Varying degrees of usefulness. The problem is I think that they're timed wrong. I think that having the birthing class before you birth is a good idea. But I think that like the information in the breastfeeding class and the newborn care class, it's not useful. I didn't retain any of it from before my pregnancy to after I had him. I think that I would rather have taken a breastfeeding class after having a baby because it's just, there's so much to remember and so much that they do and give you in the hospital. And like, there's someone coming in and out of your hospital room all the time. It's just it's a lot of information to give a person who's never had a kid before or who has a kid already. Like, it's just a lot of information ahead of time that is much more useful afterwards.
Well, plus it would be good to get hands-on like techniques right when you're trying to breastfeed.
Yeah. And they do that. They do that some at my hospital. It's much more useful after.
So you want to get into the birth? Is there anything else you want to talk about pregnancy?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a friend right now who she just turned 40 and she's pregnant with her first kid. And she and I were both lawyers and spin instructors, like that kind of thing. And she was like, and it's her first kid. And she's like, I don't really know she's like, how much should you, because I just restarted teaching spin again. And I was posting about it on Instagram. And she's like, well, she's like, I don't really know how much activity to do. And I gave her what I think is really good advice, but it was, in this season of your life, always choose rest. Always choose the rest in this season of your life. Like, don't try to do too much. Like my mom always says I do. And if what you want to do is take a nap, then go take a nap right now, because you're growing a human, and that's really your job right now. Like, it's your job, and you'll have time for exercise later and all that kind of stuff. So don't sweat that part. Literally, don't sweat. Lay down. And also that pregnancy is only 40 weeks of your life, maybe less, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more. but take that time to enjoy as much as you can being pregnant. Enjoy people holding doors for you. Let people do stuff for you because it stops once you have a baby. And also people want to help other people. So give the people that love you and strangers the chance to for them to feel good too, because then your child is going to be a citizen of this world just like you are, and it makes everyone feel more involved in bringing a new life into the world.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I never had a birth plan, not with either kid. My birth plan was epidural and everyone comes home alive. Those were the only two things on my birth plan both times.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you went to the movies. How was it?
It was amazing. So I'll give you my whole birth story. It's fun because
Mm-hmm.
it's very me. I had that whole week planned. That Monday was my last day at work because one of my bestest friends, she actually started at my office that day. So I was not going to leave her high and dry. So my last day, Corinne's first day was Monday. Tuesday, I like ran all the last minute errands. Wednesday, I went and got my nails done, manicure and pedicure. And then Thursday, I like finished up the errands. And then my friend Maria and we had planned this weeks in advance. She was the one that went to the movies with me because she is a 7-year-old. But when she had her baby, she actually ended up driving herself to the hospital. So I was like, well, if anyone can get me there, it's Maria. Like if something happens and we need to go to the hospital immediately, it's the one that drove herself to the hospital.
Uh-huh.
So she and I had lunch. I had raw tuna and a glass of Prosecco at lunch because I was like, this baby's coming out tomorrow. There's no damage I can do between now and tomorrow. And then we went to the movie. I only had to pee twice during the entire movie. And then I came home and, finished the last bit of packing. And I couldn't eat past midnight because I had a scheduled C-section. Mm-hmm. So I like ate my last meal. I actually don't remember what I ate at 11:30, but I know it was like at 11:30. And then the next morning we woke up, our nanny got there 30 minutes earlier than she normally does because we had to leave to get to the hospital. I left what I thought was a tiny baby. As it turns out, he is a big boy now. But I left him snot coming down his face, not because he was crying, but because he was sick. Left him to do nanny share for the day, went and put on a full face of makeup and an outfit that I had on for 45 total minutes. We drove to the hospital, parked the car, went in. And if you ever have to get a scheduled C-section, I highly recommend it because the comparison between the unscheduled C-section and the scheduled one is like it's a concierge service. Like we went in and they're like, right this way, Miss Turner, here is your room. And they like got me all ready and put all the IVs in and everything. And we talked to all the different doctors that would be there, including my actual doctor. She was the one that ended up being able to deliver this time. I queued up my music on my Bluetooth speaker, and we actually ended up in the same operating room we were in the first time too. So like,
oh, neat.
We took the same picture outside of it, only this time I was standing because they hadn't given me the spinal medicine yet. Mm-hmm. So standing and like, I put on the music, turned it up loud. We walked into the operating room. The nurses are dancing to my playlist the whole time. One of the nurses took my camera and she was like, I'll take all the pictures. And she took pictures. She took selfies of herself. She took pictures of everyone's like, this song is like, I could see like people actually enjoyed my playlist. And that's one of my skill sets. And then I went in for a scheduled C-section at 8:30 in the morning. Roman was born at 11:26 a.m. So wow. Yeah. And then they wheeled us back, made sure they let me start breastfeeding immediately. Like they actually laid him on me while they were still sewing me back up a little bit. Mm-hmm. I got to hold him like with this much of my body. Yeah. Then we went up to the room and I was like, this is amazing. This recovery is great. My mom and, the little baby came and my best friend had flown in from Chicago to stay with us to like help take care of the bigger one once we got back from the hospital. But yeah, it was great. And it was great until the moment that my 2-year-old stepped on my incision.
Oh,
poor thing.
Ouch.
So they tell you not to lift anything heavier than 15 pounds, but it's very hard to tell a 2-year-old that his mom can't lift him. Mm-hmm. So he stepped on it and I hadn't taken, and this was in the hospital, I hadn't taken pain medicine recently. It was the worst pain I'd ever felt in my life. And I was like, was basically like, everyone needs to leave this hospital room right now. They need to give me this medicine. Everyone's got to go. You've all got to go. Because the first time no one could come to our hospital room.
Right.
So I wanted people to come visit me this time because I didn't get that experience the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once the big baby stepped on me, I was like, this can't happen again. Everyone's got to go. Yeah. But I mean, I recovered from that. And then we stayed there for 3 days. And I wanted to stay longer because you have all this help in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
But my poor partner was tired of sleeping on the sofa, the very uncomfortable sofa on the side of the.
And what about breastfeeding? Were you able to do that again?
Yes. So the first time, it was a struggle. Like because with C-sections, as is common, your milk doesn't always just come in the same way if your body goes into labor naturally. And sometimes C-section mamas have a little bit of a difficult time getting kick started. With my first child, for the first, I think, 6 or 8 weeks, we just kept trying and it hurt so bad. And we were doing some breast milk, some formula. He was crying because he was just angry and hungry all the time. But we finally got a lip and tongue tie cut. And once we did that, it was like I had a completely different baby. I was able to breastfeed without pain and to like up my supply and to keep it going and to do that for 14 months. So this time I already had it in my head, so much so, and lip and tongue ties are somewhat genetic, and I have a gap here. And so do both of my kids. Well, one doesn't have teeth yet, but the one that has teeth has a little gap also. So I knew before this pregnancy, before the second child was even born, actually made an appointment for a human being that didn't exist with a dentist to make sure that because this pediatric dentist is in, everyone loves him. So the appointments fill up. But when I went to have the 2-year-old's teeth cleaned for the first time, I made an appointment for the baby that was coming in 3 months. So I already had that appointment for a month after I gave birth to go in and get the lip and tongue tie. And I figured worst case scenario, he doesn't have a lip and tongue tie and I can just cancel the appointment.
Mm-hmm.
But I also was able to breastfeed and I knew what it felt like. So like when they said pump at the hospital, I said, instead of being like, no, I don't want to, I just said, okay. And I pumped to, stimulate the supply and fed the baby and pumped. This baby has had significantly less formula than his brother. I think that he's had one bottle maybe in the hospital, like one of those tiny bottles, the hospital size ones they give you. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I've been able to exclusively breastfeed him for almost 3 months at this point.
Wow, that's amazing.
But yes, thank you. But part of it was just my confidence. Like I knew what to expect. I knew what I was going into. I knew how it was going to be. I knew that like, I'm surprised he's let me go as long as he has right now without being like, I would love to eat right now, mother, please feed me. I knew that like, if I wanted to do this again, I would have to compromise some of my own physical body if pregnancy is only 40 weeks, this is only a year, I can handle it. And then after that, I'll get my breast reduction and lift that I've been planning before my 45th birthday. That's my
goals.
My plan is to finish breastfeeding and then get the lift and the reduction and step into 45 with a smaller chest.
Nice. So what are your goals when breastfeeding? Do you kind of do the 12-month mark and kind of wean them off, or how does that work?
My goal is to do 12 months. It ended up being 14 the last time just because I was at 12 months on my son's first birthday. The first son, I called one of my best friends who has 2 daughters. And I was like, he's 1. I have to stop breastfeeding. And she's like, you don't just have to quit cold turkey today, Sabrina. She's like, you can figure out a way to like taper it off. And like, she's like, just come up with a plan. And I'm like, that sounds better. Your idea sounds better than mine, which was to cry about how it's very obvious that if I have to stop breastfeeding today, he's obviously going to college tomorrow, getting married on Thursday, and is going to leave me. Like it's just one step closer to him leaving me. So I'm going to cry all day. And she was like, you could stop and be normal. And I was like, So I kind of like, I'd quit pumping on New Year's Eve because my kid was born in January. I was like, I'm done pumping. I've frozen breast milk and I have what's in my boobs. So like, and then like I dropped a feeding here, dropped a feeding there, started giving him whole milk and like more food. So he wanted less breast milk. And then we got it down to a morning and an evening feed. And then I went away for a week and I was like, this is it. And I was like, when I fed him right before I left, I fed him the night before I left to go away. And I'm like, this will be the last time I feed this baby, breastfeed him. But then when I got back, he needed it 2 more times. And that was it. And so he rearranged my schedule for me. So with this one, obviously they are different babies, but something similar. At 12 months, I'll start to like cut the pumping first, and then cut a feeding, and then cut a feeding, and then get him more interested in food, and like slowly, take a couple months to taper it off. It might happen earlier because my life is busier this time, but the goal is still to make it to 12 months with actually nursing, and then let them drink the frozen breast milk that I have, after that till it's gone. Yeah.
And mentally, how have you been? Once
again, I feel like my poor second son always gets compared to the first one, but I guess that's my data set, right? It's two pregnancies. I feel fine. I feel good. And I am mentally in a much better place than I was 2 months after having my first child. There are a lot of differences. The first one is that I'm comfortable with having a newborn, and I know what to expect. I know like how often I have to breastfeed, how often I have to wake up in the middle of the night. Nothing like feels super taxing the way it did the first time because it was unfamiliar. The second thing is it's summer. And so this baby was born in the summer versus my first one was born in the winter. So I can go outside, I can go places, I can sit outside, I can go to restaurants, there's stuff to do, there's outdoor festivals, there's just so much more stuff. And then the third thing is that we're not in the middle of a global pandemic anymore. So I can take him to parties and to people's houses. I went a lot of places pregnant this time that I didn't get to go pregnant the first time. Like other people's birthday parties, the movie theater, other people's houses, work, court, like just a bunch of things didn't get to do the first time, and a bunch of people I didn't get to see. That the second time I just felt I feel better. I have still there's hormones coursing through your body for like the first 7 years after giving birth. So I cry a lot more easily at like emotional things. Like I'll see a commercial about like when I was telling you that story about Jerome Baker, I almost cried. I was like, hold it together, Sabrina. You've told the story a million times. You love that video. There's no reason to cry about the fact that a grown man loves his mother. But I think that's to be expected, given the amount of hormones that you need to make a human. But yes, this time and my mom will tell you this time I'm a lot better. I don't kick people out of my house as quickly as I did. I had to kick my mom out once. Just talking about spending the night like a month after I had the baby. And I was like, I texted my boyfriend, was like, you have to tell her she can't stay. Like, I can't do this. Like it's a lot. It's emotionally draining. Whereas this time, my best friend literally stayed with us for a week. And to be fair, I also wanted to kick her out at some point, but I didn't. And not in the same way that I wanted to kick my mom out. And also like the amount that she was helpful was far outweighed, me being like, somebody's in my space. Yeah.
I get that. Well, is there anything else you want to mention about your pregnancy or birth?
Yes. And this is like the after. So like the goal of getting pregnant and giving birth obviously is to have a kid that, you have for a while and you raise, and they're part of, it's to grow your family. There's a lot of focus on women's bodies and on the bounce back aspect of it. And I want to caution anyone who's worried about when their body will quote unquote go back to what it was beforehand. The first thing is that after 40, well, first of all, my metabolism quit at 30. So after 40, there are even more changes in your body that are irreversible. You're never going to go back to where you were when you were 21, even if you have a baby at 21, right? So imagine having one after 40. And the second is like, I don't understand why you would want to go back to anything. You're a new person. If you go back to the you that wasn't a mother. So like, instead of bouncing back, I'm telling people that we're marching forward into our mom bodies in whatever form they take, and however you make them useful, because you need them to feed children, whether it's, breastfeeding or cooking or pouring formula or whatever. You need them to feed children, to hug children, to wipe snotty, disgusting noses, like upstairs in my house right now, to carry them around. You don't need them in the same way. To be fair, you still need them to like look cute at the bars or on the beach every once in a while, but they have like dual purpose at this point. So don't bounce back. That's dumb. You don't want to go backwards. You want to go forwards.
I love that. And do you have more plans to have kids in your 40s?
No, but I don't know that I have a solid birth control. So, the children are very expensive. And I think part of the joy of having children in my 40s has been that I have more money now than I would have had I had children in my 20s or 30s. I have
Mm-hmm.
more money, more patience. So when there's a problem, like if they're not sleeping or not eating or something happens, I'm like, what is the product or service that I can purchase to help me solve this problem? So that is a benefit of having children in your 40s, but also it means that you need a considerable amount of money to be able to do that. And having more children means less resources. And honestly, to take it back to football, which is obviously something that I love, it was a double coverage with two parents and one kid. Now we're man defense one on one. I have no desire to do a zone defense with children because they are crazy and unpredictable and they don't know the rules to football yet. So they would not stay in bounds. They would be completely uncontrollable. So the
Well,
fact that one of us can grab each one, we're good now. Yeah. Plus, there's not enough rooms in my house. And
perfect.
there's the chance that I could have that teenage girl. And I don't know, or that I could have three boys and then my house really will smell for like 20 years. Yeah.
What has been your biggest challenge being pregnant in your 40s?
I guess getting over the thoughts that like, if I had done this earlier, I would have more years with my kids and I might be able to be a younger grandmother and all of that. Cause of course I skipped straight to the end game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skip straight to why we really have kids. It's so that one day I can be someone's grandmother. But it's that if I'd done this sooner, I would have more time with them and they'd have more time with me and they wouldn't have to process the loss of a parent earlier than some of us do. But, I processed the loss of a parent at 30. So it's not something that's guaranteed anyway. But that's where your brain goes when you're pregnant in your 40s. It's like that. And then also that like a lot of my friends, well, some of my friends, their kids are starting college when mine are starting preschool.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the FOMO of missing out on some of the stuff that we're all doing now that we're established in our careers and stuff. And I have the fear of missing out on like a really good time or a really good opportunity because my kids are young instead of them being like, teenagers and stuff like that. And then it's also the societal, I don't feel it as much because I mean, you're looking at me, Jamie. I don't know that in real life I always appear as a 42-year-old. I look younger than I am. And that is a humble brag a little bit, but it's also something that it hurts me in my career a lot. People don't always take me as seriously as I feel like I should be taken because they think I am significantly younger and or less experienced. So I'm quick to tell people how old I am just so that they stop mansplaining. It is interesting it's hard being pregnant in your 40s when you're in your 40s because people think you should have done it earlier. I get by not looking that way, but once people know, then like, yeah, there's not a lot, not a huge amount of judgment, but people also, they assume a lot of things about someone who's pregnant in their 40s. They assume that you had trouble conceiving. They assume that like, all these things, and that's not the case. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a lot of assumptions.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd recommend that would help prepare someone for pregnancy and birth in their 40s?
Prenatal massage. So I
Mm.
got a Massage Envy monthly thing, a membership that helped. A really good chiropractor who can forget the name of the method, but there's a specific method that relates to pregnant people because you may or may not have more aches and pains in places that you didn't think you would have them. Be open to all sorts of things happening. Like I had carpal tunnel with my first one and then some sciatic issues and with my second one. So like just know that your body is 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to treat it as it's 40 and growing a human. So like all the normal things that you'd be going through in your 40s, your body's still going to go through, but plus you're growing a human. So like be kind to yourself, but understand that like you're going to need all sorts of medical intervention. And you might not, but be open to all sorts of doctors and things and find the best ones. Get recommendations from your other friends who are in their 40s for acupuncture. I meant to do acupuncture, but just didn't get around to making the appointment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. It really is amazing. Yeah.
I need to try it now because I still have some pain points in my body.
It works too. It's amazing. Yeah. What advice would you give yourself when you were pregnant if you could go back?
I think it's part of the reason I had a second child was so that everything I wanted to do in my first one, I did in my second one. But myself, I would actually tell myself to work out more. And not to the point of like burning a couple 100,000 calories or whatever I was doing beforehand, but to move more. And I did tell myself that between the first and second one, but then promptly ignored my own advice. But moving more, walking, jogging, spinning, dancing, whatever makes you happy, makes whatever made me happy. I wish I'd done more of it. And then also to save money, to not order every little baby thing. Like he doesn't need this many onesies. Like he just doesn't. So maybe take some of the onesie money, save it for something on the back end that I might need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it. And where can our listeners find you on the internet?
You can bring him in here. The baby's here and the baby daddy. Oh, come here, Rome.
I love that name. We've talked about that name too.
Roman, it's a good name.
Yeah. Hi, buddy.
Can you say hi? You can't say anything. You're only 2 months old.
He is so cute.
Thank you. You can find me and pictures of Roman and Atlas on Instagram at SJT Lifestyle. My initials are SJT Lifestyle. I have another Instagram called I Save My Carbs for Wine from when I was keto. I don't update it nearly as often, but it's turning into product reviews because I'm susceptible to buying everything from Instagram ads. So I buy it so that no one else has to. Oh, another thing for people in their 40s when you're pregnant, Kizik's, those tennis shoes you can put on without tying. They are game changers. I have 3 pairs. Yes. Believe the hype of the ads. If the ads have come across your Instagram, and this is not even sponsored, right? Kizik's, Kizik's. They are the best tennis shoes for pregnant people because bending down is hard and stupid. And you can just slip them on and go. 3 pair. I should have bought them sooner.
Love it. Sabrina, thank you so much for sharing your story. I loved it.
No problem.
That wraps up another amazing episode on Over 40 Fabulous and Pregnant podcast. If you want to be a part of the show, I would love to hear what you have to say. I want to add these messages at the end of the 1-year anniversary show, which is coming up in October. To do that, I have a link in the description, or you can go to the website, click on Contact Us, and click on the orange button. I would love to have you be a part of it. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next Monday.